Hi friends, let's sit and chat and knit and talk about books. That sounds like a good day. Hi friends, welcome back. Today we are here to talk about the books that I have been reading lately. I was so busy in July. What month are we in? I think, yeah. I was so busy in July that I couldn't film a June books wrap up and squeeze it in anywhere. I was doing Tour de Fleece, I was opening Advents, there was just too much to cover, and I decided that I would just do a June and July book wrap up when the time came. And also, I decided today that I am going to sit here with you and knit for a little bit while I talk about the books, because I have been working hard all day long and I haven't touched any knitting or crochet today, and I would like to. So I'm going to sit here, I'm going to talk about the books that I read in June and July, and before we get started, I am wearing my C Street tank. This is the knit version designed by Brianna Lupino. I designed the crochet version, and this one is knit in the colorway Up at Dawn, which was an exclusive colorway for Sock Week a couple of years ago, so this color has been discontinued. And today I am going to be knitting on my Allison cardigan, which is a design by me. Oh boy, I have it tied up in knots here. Okay. This is a design by me. I am knitting it in my own hand-dyed yarn in the colorway Let Your Taste Decide. I am holding my DK weight and my Surrey together, and I have the front finished, the front panels, and I just started the back panel last night. I have this little stitch marker here marking where we are. I cannot believe I'm running out of battery. I just started filming. Okay. This is a beignet stitch marker from Stacy of Bah Humble. I got this when I was in New Orleans for Yarny Gras. And okay, I am going to change my battery really quick and then we will get started. Okay, that's better. We should be good to go now. I am just doing some stockinette on the back panel of this, so I thought that that would be a good thing to work on while we were talking. So let's head back to June and talk about what I read. I started out June by reading Scythe by Neal Shusterman, and this is the first book in a trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. I think there's technically a fourth book, but it has like multiple authors, so we're gonna call it a trilogy. Basically, what the story is in this world is that humanity has pretty much conquered death, and science has evolved so far that we can pretty much cure any disease. Humans basically never die anymore, and there are these people called scythes that basically have the job of population control. So they are the ones that are going around and deciding who is going to die and when. And this book follows a couple of young teens who have been chosen to become an apprentice for a scythe and to be trained to be scythes themselves. This was really good. I really, really liked it. At first I wasn't sure. I wasn't convinced because it was really sad. It was kind of just sad and disheartening to kind of watch just people going around ending lives. And it was really sad, but then it got so good. And there were times that I was literally gasping as I was reading this. I haven't continued with the series yet, but I really, really want to. I went out and bought the rest of the books in the series because I am very excited to continue with them. But I am just trying to finish up a couple of things that I have been some lingering reads before I jump into finishing this series. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. More like 4.5, I would say, probably. It was so good. But there were definitely some characters that are kind of like, you love to hate them. And, oh, they were so frustrating. So frustrating. Next, I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I had kind of thought that I would never read this. I like fantasy. I like fantasy books a lot, but I am not big on romance in any form. I just don't, it's not for me. I don't like reading romance books. Um, so I was pretty sure I wasn't going to read this. And then I don't know what made me do it. A lot of people said it was so good, and I decided to give it a try, and I decided to listen to the audiobook because I thought that that would help me. I'm kind of a slower reader, and so I thought the audiobook I could kind of fly through it. And I did. It is a very long audiobook, but I managed to get through it really quickly. And I actually really enjoyed myself. I gave it, let's see, what did I give it? I gave it 3 stars. It was, like I said, I'm not into romance, so that part wasn't for me. But I did really kind of like the world and the world building and the general plot that didn't have to do with the romance. I did have a lot of fun. I really liked the dragons and the fantasy aspects of it. So I liked it so much that I actually put a hold on the second book at my library, and I ended up reading that one, Iron Flame, in July. And I gave this one 3 stars as well. I won't say much about it because it's a sequel, but I don't know. I think I liked this one a little bit less than the first book. Uh, Probably because there was a little bit more romance and a little bit less dragons. But it was still enjoyable, and I would read the third one when it came out. I would definitely grab it, grab the audiobook, and give it a shot. Why did I pick a project with Surrey in it to work on a day when it is in the 90s here? Heading back to June, I read Minnow Pea by Mark Dunn. And this was a short little novella about a community that I don't know if worships is really the correct word, but they basically worship, honor, revere the man who came up with the sentence, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog." And so this is a story about how they have a tribute to that man and that sentence, and one day one of the letters falls down, and some of them see it as a sign that this man no longer wants them to use that letter. And this was a weird story, but it was so good. It was so good. I gave it 5 stars. The entire thing is told in letters. And I think if you are interested at all in words, in language, in censorship, you could probably find some enjoyment in this book. It was very clever. I found myself enjoying it the whole way through, but then the way it pulled together at the end was so clever, and I thought it was really, really interesting. I don't know if this author has any other works, but I would definitely look into it because I really enjoyed the way that this was written. It I don't know if they have anything else out there that would be like it, although I feel like there really can't be anything that's like this book. Next, I read Meet Me on the Bridge by Sarah J. Harris, and I don't have a ton to say about this. This was a pick for one of my book clubs that I'm in, and it was fine. This is kind of like oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of it. There's a Keanu Reeves movie, something about a lake, where there's like a mailbox and they write letters to each other, but they're living in different times. I don't know, whatever. Basically, this woman meets a man in her dreams and falls in love with him and realizes that he might be an actual person, but they are living in different years, pretty much. It's very complicated and a little hard to explain. And I gave this book 3 stars because it was fine. There was nothing majorly wrong with it. But at the same time, it also felt like it was trying to do too much. There were too many plot lines. There were too many things that you were supposed to be worrying about. There was like romance and time travel and a serial killer thrown in there that they were like trying to solve the mystery of this serial killer. So it's kind of like, what am I supposed to care about? What is the most important thing in this book? And it was a little bit confusing at times. It wrapped up nicely. I do like the way it ended. It was very sweet at the end, but I didn't have very strong feelings about it. Okay, while I fix this stitch, we can talk about my next book, which is Unraveling by Peggy Orenstein. And I have strong feelings about this book. This is a nonfiction. I don't read a ton of nonfiction, but this is yarn and wool and spinning related, and I was interested in it. Now, this is about a woman, Peggy Orenstein, and her journey of learning basically how to shear a sheep, how to scour and process the wool, how to spin yarn, and everything, so that she was part of every single step of making something from wool. And it was really, really interesting, and I found it so intriguing, and I was really, really enjoying it until a certain part where it lost me and makes me really angry and not like Peggy Orenstein very much. And that is, she states that she always knit English style and could never master continental. That happens to a lot of us. There's a lot of people that knit English and then don't master continental. And she said that she believed that continental was so much better and more efficient and faster. I know a lot of people have opinions on that. But she refused to teach her daughter how to knit because she didn't know how to knit continental, and she didn't want her daughter to suffer by only being able to knit English style. She said, yeah, okay, I have it written down in my review because I was so upset. She literally used the words, she wanted better for her. She wanted better for her daughter than being able to knit English style. She wanted her to be able to knit continental, and she knew she couldn't teach it to her, so she refused to teach her daughter how to knit. What? What? Seriously? How about, a formative memory with your child? Or letting your child make their own decisions? Or not being a knitting snob? Totally unacceptable. What the heck? That made me so mad. It completely ruined the book for me. I was ready to give it 5 stars. I ended up giving it 3 because in general the book was pretty darn good, except for the like one paragraph where she turned into an absolute loser. So, whatever. Next up, continuing along the crafty line, I read Unraveled, which is book number 9 in the Knitting Mystery series by Maggie Stefton. So I obviously will not be telling much about the plot of this book, but it is following the same cast of characters in the knitting shop Lamb Spun in Colorado, and all of the antics that they get up to, all of the mysteries that they solve. If I'm being completely honest, I don't really remember what happened in this one. I also think that this one was, I think they changed the narrator. Yeah, okay, I'm reading the synopsis and I honestly don't even remember much of it. I think they changed the narrator for this one. I've been listening to all of these on audio, and I didn't enjoy it as much. I didn't enjoy it as much as the rest of the series. I gave it 3 stars. There are these books are kind of hit and miss for me. Some of them I really enjoy, and some of them I could, you know, they're kind of take it or leave it. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to finish the series slowly but surely, but yeah, I think, you know, maybe by book 9 we might be running out of knitting mystery content. Next, I finally was able to read Funny Story by Emily Henry. And I know earlier I said I didn't like romance, but Emily Henry is literally the only romance writer that I actually enjoy. I really like Emily Henry's stories, and in particular, I really enjoy listening to the audiobooks. The narrator kills it with every single one of them. And this particular book is about a woman who gets dumped by her fiance because he realizes that he is in love with his female best friend, and she is looking for a place to live after getting kicked out of the house, and she ends up living with the ex-boyfriend of the woman that her fiance left her for. So the two exes end up cohabitating and, as you can probably guess, falling in love. And this was probably one of my favorites of Emily Henry's books. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was my favorite. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell, to rank her books. But I don't know. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. There was a little bit of a lull there in the middle for me where things slowed down, but ultimately I had a really good time. And by the way, if you are keeping track and you're interested, this was my first book that I read in the month of July. Next in July, I read Iron Flame, but we already talked about that, so we will move on to the next one, which is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. And this, unfortunately, I think I went into with a little bit too much hype. I had heard nothing but amazing things about this book. This is a very whodunit kind of mystery, and I mean, the title kind of says it all. Everyone in my family has killed someone, so this main character is from a family of people who have all killed someone through various means, maybe not all intentional, maybe not all malicious, but they all have that shared history behind them. And they are all at a family reunion, and, you know, bodies start appearing and they have to try and solve what is going on. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it, but I actually think I might have enjoyed it better if I had listened to it instead of reading it. So I do want to try the second book in the series, but I think I'm going to try and listen to it because I think I might enjoy it better. I feel like I usually get a lot of enjoyment out of listening to these whodunit kind of books uh, on audio instead of physically reading them. I just feel like the narrator can inject so much personality into it. So I will be continuing the series, but I only gave this book 3 stars because it was fine, but it didn't really blow me away. And there were parts in the middle where I was definitely starting to get a little bit bored, and then everything just wrapped up in like 5 pages at the end. Next. Oh my goodness. I finally finished Wuthering Heights. And if you have been around here on this channel for a while, you will know that I did an entire vlog where I was knitting with Wuthering Heights themed yarn or inspired yarn. And I was trying to read Wuthering Heights at the same time that I was making a top with my Wuthering Heights yarn. Well, I started reading it in February and I finally just finished it. And to be honest, I only finished it because I forced myself to. It was a slog. I had gotten about halfway through and I read the second half in July. And you know, okay, here's the thing. As long as people are reading, I support them. I support people reading whatever they want to read and loving whatever types of books they love, even if I am not into it. But also, at the same time, I'm a little concerned for the people that think Wuthering Heights is a good book. Because, like, it sucks. Sorry. Sorry for, if I'm offending you with my opinion, but wow. This book is, one, not about love because the two main characters are the most selfish, spoiled, mean-hearted, atrocious human beings ever. And they just like expect everyone in the world to do everything that they want and then get grumpy when things don't go their way and take it out on everyone. It's awful. And honestly, I've heard people say Wuthering Heights is not really a love story. And okay, you are correct. But also, it's not even well written. It's really poorly written, in my opinion. Sorry. Um, Also, sorry, my neighbor just started weed whacking. Um, but like, the whole thing is like a man getting told a story by someone else who sometimes gets told stories by someone else who sometimes gets told stories by someone else. It is so confusing and makes zero sense. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. And I'm sorry if you find my opinion offensive, but also I am concerned. If there are people that actually think that Wuthering Heights is a love story, I'm concerned for you. Because wow, this book is bad. As you can probably guess, I gave it 1 star. This might be one of my least favorite books I've ever read. Barring, okay, so there are a couple books that I've had to read when I was doing, like, I stopped knitting because I just had to like focus on my ranting. There are some books that I've had to read that are like unedited and like really, really, really poorly written and with like no editing and no grammar and no like anything like that. And okay, if you take those off of my list and you go and you just look at a list of books that I have read that like are actually written, you know, slightly comprehensively, I think Wuthering Heights might be my most hated book on the on that list. I hated every second of reading this. I should move on. But also, if you hate Wuthering Heights, can you please come talk to me? Because I would really like to talk about how stupid it is some more. So if you want to talk about it with me, that would be great. And also, if you love Wuthering Heights and I'm really making you mad right now, I'm sorry, and let's just pretend that this didn't happen, and I'll agree that everyone's entitled to their own opinions. And reading is great no matter what you read. Okay, let's move on to wrap things up with on a slightly higher note. Next up, I actually reread something that I read earlier this year, and that is The One by John Mars. I have already talked about this in one of my reading wrap-ups, so I will not do so again, but one of my book clubs decided to read this, and I loved it so much that I decided to listen to the audiobook this time around to refresh my memory. Loved it, still gave it 5 stars. It was great. I caught on to a few new things this time that I had missed, some clues and stuff. So that was really fun. And I definitely want to read more John Mars. And I've learned that a couple of his books take place in the same world that the one takes place in. So I'm very excited about that. Can't wait to read more of his books. Next up, I finished another book that had been long-standing on my nightstand in my pile of books that I'm in the middle of, and that is Slewfoot by Brom. And this book I actually started all the way back in November. And I picked it up because I had heard kind of good things about it, and also it takes place in Connecticut in, I think it's like the 1600s in Connecticut. And so I just thought, I need to give it a try. And oh, it was fine. It is a story of a woman that encounters a creature that some call the devil, but she doesn't think it's the devil. And her magical experiences because of that. It is very, very Salem witch trial-esque throughout the story. There is a lot of kind of gross and upsetting, depending on your level of upsetting, but potentially upsetting content about what was done to women during the witch trials. And that I kind of found interesting. I did like the way that the book wrapped up, but overall it was a slog. It was a really big slog for me. I don't think I will try any other Brom books, at least not anytime soon. And if I do, I might try and listen to them so that I can speed things up. Overall, I don't regret reading it. I gave it 3 stars. It was fine, but I honestly probably couldn't tell you much about the book already because I think the details are already fading from my memory. It didn't really make much of an impact on me. And the last thing I read, which I literally finished on July 31st, is Finlay Donovan, Knocks 'Em Dead by El Casamano. And this is the second book in the Finlay Donovan series. I believe I talked about the first book in one of these wrap-ups previously, and this was really fun. I gave it 3 stars, which I think is what I gave the first book in the series. But I actually think I enjoyed this book a lot more than the first book. I don't know if that's because I had more clear expectations of what to expect from the book, or if it was actually better. I don't know. But I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. This series is about a woman who is an author, and one day is overheard talking about killing off characters in her book, but she is mistaken for a hitman, and hilarity ensues from there. So it was a lot of fun. I think I enjoyed getting to know the characters a bit better in this book. I think there was a lot of plot set up in the first book, and this book included more character development. And I really enjoyed getting to know the characters more because I definitely want to continue with this series so that I can see what happens to all of them moving forward. And there are definitely some that I am rooting for. All right, so that is what I read in June and July. I have just a couple stitches left in this row, so let's finish this up and then we can see how much I got done during this little sit and knit. I cannot believe I chose to knit with Surrey right now. It is so hot. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I got about, I don't know, what's that? An inch and a half? I got about an inch and a half done. That's cool. Works for me. And I probably would have gotten more done if I didn't stop to rant about Wuthering Heights, but you know, well, it is what it is. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy these videos, please consider giving a like and subscribing. And until next time, take care of you and I will see you later. Bye.